When the world spins out of control and uncertainty creeps into your chest like smoke, what keeps your feet planted? It's not fate. It's not luck. It's the steady pulse of inner power, the kind that doesn't scream, but stands tall, calm, and confident. This unseen force shapes how you move, how you respond, how you rise. And in a world that tests you daily, a resilient mindset isn't some luxury, it's survival. You have a choice: get lost in the storm or become the calm within it. What I'm about to show you is simple. What is the foundation of everything? Your mindset decides your future. And it starts now with clarity, with calm, with confidence. Let's begin with purpose definite. Burning purpose. You are not some leaf drifting wherever the wind chooses. You are the architect of your own life, a builder wielding hammer and vision, crafting future with every strike. But stop and ask yourself, what are you building? What are you truly chasing? What would you stake your very life on? Without clear purpose, you're walking blind. Every day becomes a loop. The energy is there, but it's scattered, diffused like sunlight through fog. But when you seize one purpose, one aim that digs deep into your bones, something shifts. You stop waiting for the day to reveal itself, you command it. You move with intention. Your thoughts sharpen, your actions sink, and your energy, it ignites. Picture yourself holding a bow in an open field. You pull back the string. The arrow is ready, but there's no target. Would you release? Of course not. So why live without a clear aim? Why go through day after day without knowing exactly what you're here for? You don't need a dozen goals, just one that matters, one that lights something inside you. Purpose isn't a fantasy, it's a decision. And the moment you decide, life stops feeling random. You begin to walk with direction, and direction breeds confidence. Purpose turns ordinary action into power. It turns hesitation into momentum, because once you stop waiting and start moving, you're no longer at the mercy of life. You're leading it, and behind that purpose, belief. Everything great ever built began with belief, fragile maybe, but real. A tiny flicker that someone, somewhere, dared to protect, but let doubt take the wheel, and everything stalls. You second guess, you wait, you look for signs and permissions and safe zones. But those who build, who create, and who rise, they don't wait for the world to believe in them. They believe first, and the world catches up. Strong belief is like steel under your steps. It doesn't make the fear vanish, but it tells you you can walk through it. You adjust instead of quitting. You fall, but rise smarter. Setbacks don't stop you, they instruct you. Think of a farmer planting seeds in dry earth. He doesn't know if rain will come, but he plants, he waters, he waits. Why? Because he believes in the harvest. Are you planning your future, or still holding the seeds in your hands? Too afraid they won't grow? The world won't give you guarantees, but it will reflect back what you truly believe. If you see strength, you'll act strong. If you believe in your creativity, it will show. Action flows from identity, and identity flows from belief. So don't wait for confidence to follow success. Live like the version of yourself you're striving to become now, because belief walks first, and achievement follows. Then comes the great separator, discipline. You already know what needs doing. The issue isn't knowledge, it's consistency. When the spark fades, most people lose to comfort, to mood, to the seduction of easy, but not you. If you're serious about winning, you don't wait to feel right. You act because it's right. Desire is unreliable. Discipline, though, it's the mule that carries your dreams through mud and snow. A disciplined person doesn't rely on motivation. They build momentum. Whether the sky is clear or stormy, they show up. Whether the task is thrilling or dull, they execute. Real freedom is not doing what you want. It's doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel. Picture a blacksmith forging a blade. Every step matters. He can't skip the heating, the hammering, and the folding. If he does, the blade is weak. He doesn't say, "I'm not in the mood today," because the process builds strength. So, are you showing up like that for your life? Discipline isn't punishment, it's liberation. It means you made the decision once and you honor it daily. No negotiations, no delays. And this is where confidence is truly born. Not in loud victories, but in quiet consistency. Not in fleeting passion, but in relentless persistence. And that leads us to the furnace of greatness, adversity. Every man and woman meets resistance. It's the world asking, how bad do you want it? Your answer isn't in words, it's in action. And whether you keep going, that question shows up again and again in failure, betrayal, silence, and rejection. It shows up in the nights when no one claps, when nothing moves, when all you have is grit and a flicker of hope. Too many interpret resistance as rejection. They think difficulty means stop, but resistance is a mirror. It shows you who you are. A test if your dreams are stronger than your excuses. Think of a river carving through rock. It doesn't break through with rage. It flows, drop by drop, year after year, until stone becomes sculpture. That's what your persistence must look like: steady, patient, unshakable. People might mock you, doubt you, even pity your effort. But what they can't see is the vision burning inside you, like the builder of a cathedral who chisels stone, knowing he may never see the final spire, like the artist who paints in silence, knowing his work will echo beyond him. What are you building that's worth the struggle? What would break your heart to quit on? When your vision is real, adversity becomes your teacher. It hardens your resolve. It awakens your creativity. It sharpens your soul. But only if you stay in the game. Only if you keep showing up, storm after storm. Because persistence turns fragile hope into undeniable truth, turns stone into monuments, and turns you into someone unshakable. And finally, fear. You've felt it. That grip in your chest. The racing thoughts. The doubt that pulls you under. It feels like the world is too loud, too big, and too dangerous. And everything inside you screams, retreat. Go back to what's safe, to what's known. That's fear. It's not evil, but it's loud. It settles into your mind like an unwanted guest, telling you stories that feel real, stories of failure, of loss, of embarrassment. It convinces you that staying small is smart, but fear was never meant to rule you. It's not your master. It's a signal. It says, this matters. Every person you admire has felt it. They didn't conquer fear by pretending it wasn't there. They moved with it, studied it, dared to challenge it, and most importantly, they acted anyway. Fear is not a wall. It's a river, and you are standing on one bank, staring at the other. The current is cold. The distance is great, and everything in you wants to stay where it's safe. But courage doesn't whisper comfort. Courage says, swim. So ask yourself, what river are you standing before right now? What goal have you delayed? What dream have you shelved? What truth have you avoided? Maybe it's the business you want to build, the story you need to tell, the decision you've avoided for far too long, the love you want to pursue, the boundary you need to draw. Fear will always visit, but you decide how long it stays. You decide whether you let it drive or walk beside you. Your mindset is everything. Calmness is strength. Confidence is earned. And fear is just a servant waiting to be told where to go. Fear tries to convince you that you're not ready. It says you need more time, more practice, and more certainty. It warns that you'll fail badly, that others will laugh at you or criticize you. It tells you the risk isn't worth it, that it's too dangerous. But none of this is set in stone. You have the power to shape what happens through your choices, your effort, and your ability to learn from everything, even from mistakes. Fear doesn't have to trap you. Instead, let it guide you. Let it show you what matters most. Where your fear is the strongest, that's where your biggest growth is waiting. That's where your deepest transformation can begin. The things you're scared of, they're usually the ones that can change your life the most. You don't need to get rid of fear. That's not possible. That's not even the goal. What you need is to stop letting fear decide for you. Stop giving it the final say on what you should or shouldn't do. Fear isn't your enemy. It's your test. It's your chance to prove to yourself that you're capable of far more than you think. Choose character over reputation. There will always be people talking behind your back in coffee shops, at church, over fences. In whispers, some people will misunderstand you. They'll judge your actions based on their own limited views. They'll make up stories about your life without knowing the truth. Some will lift you up too high, putting you on a pedestal you never asked for. Others will bring you down unfairly, just to feel better about themselves. But you must decide. What will guide your life? Will you chase reputation the way people see you? Or will you build character, the person you truly are? That choice shapes everything, every decision, every friendship, every moment when you must pick between what's easy and what's right. Reputation is what others think about you. It's opinions, guesses, gossip. It shifts constantly like sand in the wind. It's based on what people see and say at parties and in meetings. But character is who you are when no one's watching, when there's no one to impress. When the lights are off and it's just you and your conscience, reputation fades. Character lasts, like the deep foundation of a strong house. Character grows stronger over time and stands through every storm. If you let your worth rise and fall with public opinion, you'll spin like a weather vane in a storm never stable, always changing direction. You'll shape yourself to fit whoever is watching, becoming someone different with every crowd, until you forget who you really are. But when your choices come from your values, not applause or fear of judgment, you find something rare, peace. Not the fake kind that comes from being liked, but the deep, lasting kind that comes from being true to yourself. Think of a great oak tree in the center of town, strong. Wide branches offer shade and shelter, but its real strength is underground in the roots, unseen but solid, drawing life from deep, lasting sources. Ask yourself, are you making choices based on what's right, or just on what looks right to others? This question will come up again and again in your life, sometimes in small ways, sometimes in moments that define everything. You'll be tempted to make yourself sound more important at dinner, to go along with the crowd even when your heart says no, but stay true. Do the quiet work when no one's watching. Be kind when it's not expected. Be honest even when it costs you. Keep your promises even when it's hard. Stand by your principles even when they hurt, even when you must walk away from something you want, even when people you care about criticize you for it. Reputation might open a few doors, but character is what keeps them open. It builds trust that lasts through joy and hardship. And in those quiet moments late at night, when it's just you and your thoughts, you'll know who you really are. And no one can take that from you. Your energy is sacred. Protect it. You're not a machine. You can't give endlessly without cost. The world may expect it. You may expect it from yourself. But your energy, mental, physical, emotional, is limited. It's the fuel for everything. Your ideas, your joy, your love, your focus. It doesn't last forever. Yet we waste it so easily. We give it to people who don't deserve it. We pour it into arguments that lead nowhere, into problems that don't change. Then we wonder why we feel empty at the end of the day, why we're so tired, so busy, but not fulfilled. Think of a farmer during a drought. He doesn't water weeds. He saves it for crops that feed life. Do the same with your energy. Ask yourself, who gets your best hours? Are you giving your sharpest mind to what really matters, or wasting it on things that don't? What drains you? What habits, tasks, or people quietly steal your strength? What restores you? What helps you feel alive again? There's power in choosing not to respond. There's wisdom in walking away from pointless drama. There's strength in saying no without guilt, in resting when your body begs for it, not out of laziness, but because you know rest fuels greatness. Imagine a man climbing a mountain with a heavy pack. If he fills his pack with things that don't belong to him, other people's problems, pointless stress, false duties, he won't reach the top. The smart traveler carries only what helps him get there. You must do the same. You're already carrying enough. Your own dreams, your own responsibilities. What are you still holding that's not yours? Old beliefs, other people's opinions. Let them go. Protect your energy, not because you're weak, but because your mission needs strength. The work you're meant to do, the people you love, the impact you want to make, they deserve your full self, not your leftovers. Don't burn out lighting fires that were never yours to tend. Save your best for what truly matters. Success is a habit, not a moment of luck. Some people wait for success to strike like lightning, sudden, loud, life-changing. They wait for inspiration, a big idea, a lucky break. But real success isn't loud. It's quiet. It's built slowly, day by day, through routine. Success doesn't come from one big action. It comes from small steps, repeated over and over. It grows in early mornings when others are sleeping, in late nights when others have stopped, in ordinary minutes when no one is watching. You don't fall into greatness, you build it, one habit at a time, even when motivation disappears, even when you feel like giving up, even when the results aren't visible. The successful person acts while others wait. He plans while others react. He works when others rest, because he's disciplined, not lucky. What are your habits? Do they lift you or hold you down? Are you building the life you want or slowly blocking your own path? Picture the people starting in the same place. One reads for 15 minutes daily. Nothing dramatic changes at first, but after a year, a difference appears. After a decade, the gap is massive. One has wisdom, confidence, and clarity. The other has regret. Your life is shaped by your habits, not your dreams, not your plans, not your intentions. If you want to write daily, if you want health, move daily. If you want wisdom learned daily, you don't need a full life makeover, just one habit, one daily action, done every day. Then protect it fiercely. Don't let laziness or distraction steal it. That habit is your edge, your secret weapon. Habits become identity. Identity shapes results. And over time, results build your legacy. Stillness is where wisdom lives. In a world that shouts, do more, go faster, stillness feels strange. But that's where clarity hides, in the pause between the noise. When you slow down with purpose, not out of laziness, but to listen, you begin to see clearly. You hear your own voice again, the one drowned out by noise, the one that knows what really matters. Stillness isn't the absence of progress. It's the space that lets you move with purpose. In stillness, you find yourself again. And when you find yourself, you can finally move in the right direction. You learn how to tell the difference between what truly matters and what just feels urgent. You begin to cut through the noise, to find the signal, the message hidden behind the chaos. This isn't about checking out from life or becoming passive. A calm mind isn't a blank one. It's focused, sharp, resilient. It knows the difference between reacting emotionally to every little thing and responding with thought to what really deserves your attention. It's the difference between panicking and staying grounded, between being pushed around by life and moving forward with purpose. Picture walking through a field covered in thick fog. You can't see far, and every step feels risky. If you rush ahead, you trip over things you never saw coming. If you panic and run in the wrong direction, you wear yourself out fighting shadows. But if you stop, if you let your eyes adjust, something changes. The fog doesn't vanish, but you start to see through it. The path was always there. It was just hidden beneath your fear and rush. When was the last time you truly paused? Not just a short break between tasks, not scrolling through your phone, but actual stillness. A moment when you ask yourself the real questions. Is this the direction I want my life to go? Am I living by my values or just reacting to whatever shouts the loudest? Stillness isn't laziness, no matter what the world says. It's time for gathering. It's when you sharpen your mind like a blade before battle. A woodcutter who stops to sharpen his axe will always cut more than one who keeps swinging a dull blade. The same goes for your decisions, your thoughts, and your path. The world will constantly tempt you to stay busy, to fill every second with motion, to believe that being active is the same as making progress. You'll see ads showing people always moving, always achieving. The news will flood your mind with things that seem urgent. But remember, movement isn't progress. A hamster runs all day on a wheel and ends up in the same place. Noise isn't wisdom. The loudest person isn't always the smartest. And speed isn't strength. True power is knowing when to move and when to wait. Make space for stillness in your life. Go for walks with no destination, not to get somewhere, but to think clearly. Write in a journal, not to post online, but to understand your own mind. Sit in silence, even when it feels awkward, even when your thoughts try to pull you into regret or fear. Let your true voice rise above the noise. In a world full of opinions and advice, you need to hear your own. What do you actually believe? What do you truly want? You can't hear that voice when you're performing for others. Only in stillness can you become who you really are. That's where you reconnect with your deepest values, your real goals, your truest self. But vision without action is just a dream. You might have a clear image of the life you want, the person you hope to be, the mark you want to leave behind. That vision is powerful. It pulls you forward when everything else pushes back. It gives meaning to your struggles. But without action, without effort, it's just a fantasy, a mirage that disappears every time you get close. Many people dream. Go into any cafe, any bar, any group of friends, and you'll hear them. They'll talk about what they're going to do, who they're going to become, how they'll change their lives. And they sound inspired, but only a few will ever act. The difference between dreamers and doers isn't talent. It's not luck. It's not opportunity. It's effort, repetition, the willingness to keep going, even when it's hard and progress is slow. A vision is like a blueprint for a beautiful building. You can design every detail, but without bricks and labor, it stays on paper. Without action, that dream house stays a sketch, never real, never lived in. So ask yourself, what are you building today that your future self will thank you for? What work are you doing now, not someday, not later, but now? What small step can you take that brings your dream closer? Imagine a man standing on an empty plot of land, talking endlessly about the mansion he's going to build. He describes the marble floors, the grand staircase, the gardens. He sees it all clearly in his head, but year after year passes. No shovel, no bricks, no progress. Just talk. Is that you? Do you talk about writing a book but never write a page? Do you dream of starting a business but never begin? Do you plan to get in shape but never lace up your shoes? Are you hiding in the comfort of potential where everything is still possible? Because nothing has been tested yet. Dreaming is easy, doing is hard, but action is the only thing that turns dreams into reality, even when you're exhausted, even when results seem far away, even when doubt whispers that your goals are too big. Because vision with action, that's power. It moves mountains. It changes lives. It shapes the future. But vision without action, it's a ghost floating, fading, powerless. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to begin. Pick up the tools, roll up your sleeves, and start building something real. Or someone else will live the dream you only talked about. The tragedy isn't in failing, it's in never trying. The true heartbreak is not falling short, but never taking that first step. Confidence doesn't come from luck. It comes from preparation. You want to stay calm under pressure. You want to speak with strength, act with clarity. Then prepare, quietly, consistently, in the background. There's a calmness in someone who has prepared. While others panic, he stays focused, not because he's pretending, but because he's already fought the battle in his mind. Practice the moves, train for the moment. He may not control the outcome, but he controls himself. And that's true power. Power isn't about controlling others. It's about staying centered while everything around you is chaos. It's choosing your response, not reacting with fear. Confidence built on charm fades when no one's impressed. Confidence built on looks fades when you're not the best dressed. But confidence built on preparation, that's solid, unshakable. Like a soldier sharpening his blade before the fight. He doesn't wait for danger, he prepares. He trains. He plans. Because when the moment comes, there's no time for second guesses. So you study when others sleep. Practice while others play. Fail in private so you can succeed in public. This preparation isn't glamorous. It's the writer typing alone at dawn. The athlete running through pain. The dreamer working when no one is watching. Ask yourself, what are you doing today to prepare for the life you say you want? Are you reading the books, practicing the skills, building the habits? Or are you waiting for confidence to magically arrive? Don't wait. Build it. One step at a time. Brick by brick. Some days it'll feel useless. But keep going. When the moment arrives, when the door opens, you'll be ready. Not because you hoped you would be, but because you made yourself ready. And when you're ready, your preparation will speak louder than words. Self-control is your inner power. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead your life. When you give your emotions control, you lose direction. You lash out in anger, drown in fear, collapse under doubt. Why? Because you forgot you're the one holding the reins. It's easy to believe emotions are in charge. That anger is always justified. That fear is protecting you. That impulse is truth. But that's a lie. Your emotions aren't the boss. They're just signals. They tell you something's happening, but they don't decide what you do. Self-control keeps you steady. It's not coldness, it's strength. When the world shouts, you stay calm. When panic rises, you breathe. When temptation knocks, you remember who you are. This isn't denial. It's discipline. Between what happens and how you respond, there's a space. And in that space is your greatest power. A man without self-control is like a wild horse. Strong, but unpredictable. He bolts at every sound. He burns out before getting anywhere. His power goes nowhere because he has no control. Think about the choices you made in anger or weakness. Did they help you or cost you? A bad purchase, a cruel word, a burned bridge. You pay for those later, but every time you pause, every time you resist the easy but wrong choice, you build your willpower, not in big dramatic ways, but in small, consistent acts. You grow stronger when you have the hard conversation instead of avoiding it. When you sit with discomfort instead of running from it. When you pause before saying words you'll regret. This isn't impossible. It's practice. You can grow the gap between feeling and action. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep practicing until one day the storm comes and you stand strong. Others panic. You stay calm, not because you don't feel it, but because you've learned how to hold your ground. Self-control isn't the absence of emotion, it's the presence of choice, and choice, repeated daily, becomes character. And character becomes your destiny, because before any action comes a thought, and before any thought comes a belief. You can't plant weeds and expect wheat. You can't build a new life without changing the soil it grows from. This is where transformation begins. They focus on everything: money, success, relationships, but ignore the one place where it all begins, the mind. They water every plant in their life except the one that matters most. And then they wonder, why does nothing grow? Why does the fruit taste bitter or not show up at all? Every result in your life, your habits, your environment, your opportunities sprang from a single thought. Maybe it was fear, maybe it was courage, but it all began with an idea. A man who thinks, I always fail, will unknowingly sabotage his own progress. A man who thinks, I can learn anything, faces challenges with curiosity instead of fear. Same mind, same energy, two entirely different lives. Neglect your thoughts and you invite chaos. Your mind becomes like an untended field where weeds grow wild. Fear overpowers faith, and self-doubt chokes gratitude. But if you pick your thoughts like a farmer picks seeds on purpose, with care you begin to grow a life you chose, not one that just happened. This isn't magic, it's farming. A farmer doesn't accidentally plant corn and then act surprised when corn grows. He knew what he planted. He chose it. He earned the harvest by showing up daily in silence, without applause. The same applies to character. A humble man listens more than he speaks. He learns from everyone because he doesn't pretend to know it all. He works harder because he doesn't assume the world owes him anything. He grows faster because he's not afraid to admit when he's wrong. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Real humility is a strategy. It understands every conversation is a chance to learn, every mistake a chance to grow. Even when you don't know something, that moment is a doorway to discovery. You've seen the opposite. Loud men trying to dominate every room. They interrupt, name drop, and talk about things they barely understand. But you can feel it, can't you? That noise isn't confidence, it's fear dressed up in ego. Now picture the quiet man. He works before the sun rises. No boasting, no noise, just action. His results speak for him. He asks questions freely because he values learning more than appearing smart. He shares credit because he knows success isn't a solo sport. He admits mistakes quickly because fixing things matters more than saving face. Ask yourself, can you take correction? Can you learn from someone younger or less experienced? Do you ask without shame? That's the difference between fake humility and true wisdom. Fake humility says, I'm worthless. Real humility says, I'm still learning. Fake humility seeks sympathy. True humility seeks strength. Humility makes you teachable, and teachability keeps your eyes open. It prevents the blindness that comes with arrogance, the kind that creeps in just before the fall. Pride creates blind spots. It tells a man he knows enough, and that's where growth stops. Humility keeps you sharp. It reminds you that today's knowledge can become tomorrow's limitation, and the person you ignore might hold the key to your next breakthrough. A humble person doesn't pretend to be less. He simply knows himself clearly. He sees his strengths and doesn't need to broadcast them. He sees his weaknesses but isn't owned by them. He knows confidence and humility aren't enemies, they're teammates. One keeps you moving. The other keeps you grounded. You are always becoming the ones who remember that walk straighter, last longer, rise higher. They have nothing to prove and everything to learn. They adapt, so they survive. They lift others as they rise, so they go further than anyone climbing alone. In a world full of noise, humility is a quiet kind of strength, the kind that endures. Courage is the cost of forward motion. Nothing great moves without it, not a business, not a dream, not a man. But courage isn't loud. It's not reckless. It's a soft, steady voice that says, I'll do it even if I'm afraid. We've been fed the wrong idea of courage. We imagine warriors shouting in battle, delivering powerful speeches, doing bold, dramatic things. But real courage is smaller, quieter, and far more powerful. It's the person who leaves a safe job to chase a risky dream. It's the father who has an honest conversation with his child. It's the man who tells the truth when lying would be easier. These are the moments that shape our lives. Most of them happen in silence. Most of them are remembered by no one, but they build everything. And there will be moments when you freeze, when the cost of trying feels too high, when fear drowns out your logic, when every part of you wants to wait. That frozen feeling, every man who's ever done something meaningful knows it. It's the moment when desire meets risk, When ambition meets fear, your mind will offer 1,000 reasons to delay, to prepare more, to wait. But underneath all that is one simple truth. You're scared. The only real question is, do you move anyway? That decision changes everything. Not in big, dramatic ways, but in the tiny, unseen choices. The private ones. The ones no one applauds. Progress doesn't reward comfort. It rewards boldness. It rewards the one who steps forward not because it's safe, but because the goal is worth it. Opportunities don't wait for the perfect man. They go to the man who moves, even when his hands shake, even when the path isn't clear. Think of the first hard thing you did. Your heart raced. Your voice trembled. But you did it. And afterward, something inside you changed. You saw yourself differently. You believed more. You grew. That is the power of action. That is what courage gives you. Not just results, but transformation. Are you stalling because fear is whispering? Are you waiting for someone to give you permission? Here's the truth. Permission doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. The world won't wait for you to feel ready. It keeps spinning, creating new chances for those who are bold enough to take them. You don't need guarantees. You need to move. Even 1 inch forward is worth more than a mile of waiting. Progress doesn't come in leaps. It comes in steady, faithful steps despite the uncertainty. The man who moves imperfectly is always ahead of the man who waits for perfection. Patience is the companion of growth. You plant, you water, and you wait. You don't shout at a seed to grow. You trust the process. We live in a world of instant results, viral videos, same-day delivery, overnight success stories, and we've forgotten the most important truth. The best things take time. Real success is not a sprint. It's a marathon run with discipline, not speed. Most people give up not because they can't win, but because they can't wait. They see silence and think it's failure. They feel delays and think it's denial. But growth often happens in quiet, in the background, in the dark. Patience isn't doing nothing. It's working faithfully while time does its part. Like the blacksmith heating, folding, shaping the metal again and again until it's strong. You can't rush that. Skip a step and the sword breaks. Take shortcuts and the foundation cracks, but build slowly. And what you create will last. Look at the oak tree. It grows slowly, but stands for centuries. Compare that to bamboo. It grows fast, but bends with every wind. Are you rushing something that needs time? Are you quitting something because results haven't shown up yet? That new business, that health plan, that relationship. Maybe what you need isn't proof, it's patience. Progress whispers. It doesn't shout. But if you keep showing up, if you keep stacking one good choice on another, the result will come. Quietly, strongly, unshakably. Each act of patience compounds, like drops of water carving stone, like pages of a book adding up to a novel, like daily deposits becoming a fortune. Your character is no different. It's built in private, when no one's watching, when you do the right thing not because it's easy, but because it's right. So yes, wait. But while you wait, work. Let patience be your power, not your excuse. Because when the time is right, what you built will be ready. This is the paradox of patience, surrender and discipline, acceptance and effort. You surrender the timeline, but never the work. And in the end, it gives you not just success, but a success that lasts. Responsibility may seem heavy, but it's actually freedom. The moment you stop blaming your parents, your past, your boss, the economy, you take your power back. Most people resist this. They think taking responsibility means taking blame. They think owning mistakes means accepting guilt. But here's the beauty. Responsibility isn't about shame. It's about power. When you own your choices, you stop being a victim of life and become the author of it. Belief floats wherever the wind blows. A captain uses the wind to reach a chosen destination. Same wind, different mindset. The moment you stop saying if only and start saying what now, your life changes. If only is seductive. It's safe. It lets you off the hook, but nothing grows there. No dream is built on excuses. Only effort builds. You are where you are because of your past thoughts and actions. That's not an insult, it's empowerment. Because if you built this life, you can build a better one. You have the pen. You write the story. Every day is a blank page. Will you fill it with excuses or action, with regret or purpose? Most people look at the page and say, I can't. But the page doesn't care. It just waits. So right. Even if it's messy, even if you're unsure, start shaping the life you want, not tomorrow, but today. Asterisk because the pen has always been in your hand, and the next chapter is yours to create. Asterisk where in your life are you still blaming things you could actually change? Are you pointing fingers at circumstances or other people when deep down, you know you have the power to change your attitude or take action? Excuses feel safe, don't they? They make you feel protected, but really, they're just cages. They keep you from the pain of failure, yes, but they also keep you from the joy of success. They shield you from disappointment, but also from growth, achievement, and purpose. Taking responsibility may feel like pressure, but in truth, it's pure power. The day you stop waiting for someone else to fix your life and start owning every part of it, that's the day everything changes. This is where the transformation begins, not when life bends to your needs, but when you bend your mindset to meet life's opportunities. Not when you wait for perfect conditions, but when you create progress out of the imperfect ones. When you stop drifting like a passenger in your own life and take the driver's seat, your entire direction shifts. And that pressure you feel when you accept responsibility, that's not a burden, that's potential. That's the weight of what could be. It's the pull of the life waiting for you if only you'd stop making excuses and start moving forward. Your surroundings shape your thoughts more than you realize. It's not just what's in your mind, it's who you're around, what you listen to, what you watch, what fills your time, the people you talk to, the habits you keep, the spaces you live and they all leave. Fingerprints on your mindset. We like to think we're free thinkers, untouched by outside influences. But that belief is both empowering and dangerously naive. We're careful about what we eat, right? But how often do we pay attention to what we feed our minds? We study nutrition labels, but ignore toxic conversations. We worry about sugar, but not about gossip. We avoid processed food, but fill our minds with processed drama. Your environment is like a silent artist, constantly shaping your thoughts with repetition. Not loud, not obvious, but always working. A negative comment here, a distracting habit there. It adds up until your entire mental landscape changes. If you walk through mud, your boots get dirty, and if you surround yourself with negativity, your mind absorbs it. This isn't just theory. This is how the brain works. Your mind adapts to what it's exposed to. The more you're around stress, doubt, and anger, the more your brain becomes wired to feel and think that way. But here's the good news. The opposite is also true. Fill your world with people and messages that encourage growth, and your brain will begin to favor progress, confidence, and clarity. Think about the person who spends their lunch breaks listening to coworkers complain, their evenings around people who gossip, and their weekends consuming crisis-driven news. That person may wonder why they feel stuck, anxious, or hopeless, but their environment has been feeding those emotions all along. Many people say they want change, but then they stay in places and with people that hold them back. They say they want to grow, but they keep company with those who mock ambition. They say they want peace, but they fill their world with noise. They say they want discipline, but their space is cluttered with distraction. This gap between what people say they want and what they choose to be around is one of the main reasons they never reach their goals. It's like trying to eat healthy while keeping junk food on the counter, or trying to quit drinking but spending every night at a bar. It just doesn't work. Look at anyone who's truly successful: athletes, entrepreneurs, artists. They build their environments to match their goals. Athletes train with other athletes. Business leaders surround themselves with books, mentors, and conversations about progress. Artists spend time in spaces that inspire creativity and are filled with others who support their vision. Why? Because they understand that environment isn't separate from success, it's a part of it. It doesn't just affect what you do, it becomes part of who you are. If you want to live with clarity, design a space that feels calm and focused. If you want to grow, hang around people who are growing. If you want to build something great, stop walking through mental mud. Your mind is a garden. Every thought is a seed. Every dream is a tender sprout. But if you let negativity stomp through your mental garden every day, nothing will grow. A wise gardener doesn't just plant and hope. They protect the soil. They water the roots. They keep pests away. They build an environment where growth becomes natural. What about you? What's stomping on your focus? What's stepping on your self-belief? Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? What do those relationships feed your doubt or your confidence? What does your home look like? Does it reflect your goals or your past mistakes? This isn't about judging your life. It's about seeing it clearly. Awareness is power. You might realize that certain relationships, while familiar, are draining your drive. that your room reflects more chaos than calm, that your time is filled with more distraction than direction. You don't have to isolate yourself, but you do need to shape your surroundings. Be intentional, be protective, be deliberate. Yes, you might feel awkward stepping away from certain people. You might feel guilty about changing your circle. But there's a big difference between being intentional and being arrogant. You're not being rude by choosing better. You're being responsible. Your time is sacred. Your energy is limited. Your mind deserves better than a steady diet of noise and nonsense. Once you upgrade your environment, your thoughts will follow. When your thoughts improve, your actions change. And when your actions change, so does your life. This is the domino effect of designing your world with purpose. You won't just do better, you'll become better. Because when your results change, your identity shifts. And when your identity shifts, you start seeking out environments that reflect your new self. The environment you choose today decides the person you'll be tomorrow. Choose wisely. And above all, have faith. Not blind hope. Not daydreams. Real faith. Faith in the invisible. Faith in effort you can't yet see the reward for. Faith that your work matters, even if no one notices it yet. Faith is often misunderstood. People think it means waiting for miracles. But that's not faith. That's fantasy. Real faith moves. It works. It shows up when there's no applause, no spotlight, and no promise of success. Real faith doesn't ignore reality. It sees beyond it. It believes that small actions today can lead to massive outcomes tomorrow. That consistent work, even when invisible, is still building something real. Think about cathedrals that took generations to build. The first workers never saw the final towers, but they laid bricks with care, driven by a vision beyond their lifetime. That's faith. Edison failed over 1,000 times before creating a light bulb, but he saw each failure as a step forward. That's faith. Faith isn't about results right now. It's about trusting that what you're doing matters, that the hard road leads somewhere worth going. Faith is what pulls you out of bed when no one's watching. It's what makes you keep building your dream cabin in the woods even when no one visits. It's what carries you when your effort feels invisible, when your dream feels distant, when your hope feels faint. You find out who you really are when you're working alone, when there's no one clapping, when success is nowhere in sight. Do you keep going? Do you still care? Do you still believe? Asterisk, that's the true test. Can you keep walking your path even when you walk it alone? Everyone can work hard when the reward is near, but the real ones, the ones who make history, they work in silence. They keep going in the dark. They keep the faith. You don't need the world to see your vision. You just need to believe in it enough to build it one brick at a time. So protect your environment, feed your mind, strengthen your faith, because no one else is going to build your dream for you, and the world won't believe in it until you do. Sometimes the truth is clear to you before anyone else can see it. That doesn't make it less real, it makes it more powerful. What's unseen by others isn't invisible to you. It's a seed of something great, and the fact that it's hidden right now only adds to its value. Faith doesn't need a crowd cheering it on. It doesn't wait for applause. It waits for action. Real faith is shown when you keep showing up without any guarantees. When you continue moving forward without knowing how things will turn out. That's where real power is born. Faith grows not when everything feels certain, but when you choose to move forward despite the uncertainty. Every time you act with no promise of success, your faith strengthens. Every time you push through without results, you build something inside yourself, character. And every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you prove that your commitment is stronger than your emotions. The unstoppable ones are not those who never face setbacks. They're the ones who keep going through the setbacks, holding on to their purpose. They understand something deep. Your circumstances don't define your level of commitment. Your surroundings don't control your strength to keep going. That strength comes from within, from active faith, the kind of faith that keeps building something even when no one else sees it. The impossible only becomes real when someone decides to keep going, no matter what. That's how history is made, not by those who played it safe, but by those who saw the impossible and said, not yet, but soon. Every breakthrough, every invention, every transformation was started by someone who didn't take impossible as the final answer. They knew it wasn't a fact. It was just someone else's opinion. And opinions can change the moment someone proves them wrong. What seems impossible today becomes possible through action, one day, one step, and one brave decision at a time. It becomes possible when someone dares to believe in a vision no one else understands yet. When someone decides not to let the limits placed by others define their future, that's when the extraordinary begins. Your faith is your permission slip to build the impossible. Use it boldly. Build something that matters. In a world full of noise, silence is one of the strongest forces you can tap into. In a culture that celebrates constant talking, movement, and distraction, choosing silence can feel like rebellion. But real clarity, true clarity, only comes in quiet moments. It's when everything else fades that you begin to see what truly matters. We live in a time where loud voices get the most attention, even when they say nothing of value, where people stay busy just to look important, even if their work is meaningless, where those who talk the most seem the most confident, even when they lack depth. But this noise is just an illusion. It drowns out wisdom, truth, and growth. That's why silence is powerful. It's not just an absence of sound, it's a space for real thought, for insight, for truth to rise. Most people fear silence because they don't want to face what's underneath all the noise. The thoughts they've been avoiding, the questions they don't want to answer, the truths they don't want to admit. So they fill the air with words, stay busy, and avoid stillness. But what they call emptiness is actually fullness. Silence is where ideas are born, where deep truths live, where clarity begins. In silence, your mind stops reacting and starts reflecting. Your heart stops defending and starts feeling. The strongest people don't need to say much because they've already thought deeply. They don't react to every challenge. They choose when and how to respond. And that choice, that pause, is where true power lives. Real strength is not about talking the most. It's about knowing when to speak. And what truly deserves your attention, it's about having thoughtful opinions instead of quick reactions. It's about stepping back and choosing action over impulse. The person who embraces silence holds a special kind of power, the power to choose. While others are pushed around by emotions and noise, they pause, think, and respond from strength. That pause between what happens and how you respond, that's where freedom lives. Think about someone who hears criticism. One person reacts right away, angry or defensive. Another person pauses and asks, is this worth responding to? That second person is in control. That second person is powerful. Now imagine sitting by a quiet stream after a long day. Everything slows down. Your breathing softens. You notice things you couldn't see in the rush. That's the gift of silence. In that quiet, your nervous system relaxes. Your thoughts clear up. Your priorities come back into focus. This isn't laziness. It's necessary. Just like muscles need rest to grow, your mind needs stillness to think clearly. Just like soil needs time to recover between crops, your consciousness needs silence to stay sharp. When was the last time you truly sat with your thoughts, not the world's opinions, not social media, just your own inner voice? We've become so used to listening to others that we've forgotten how to hear ourselves. Listening to yourself isn't selfish. It's essential. It's how to figure out what you really believe, not what you were told to believe. It's how you discover what you want, not what you were pressured to want. It's how you uncover what you're meant to do, not what the world expects from you. This kind of listening requires more than just quiet surroundings. It requires honest attention. It means facing uncomfortable thoughts without running, sitting with fears without needing to fix them right away, acknowledging your desires without judging them, being with your experience as it is without trying to change it. That's when the real answers come, when the noise dies down and your values come to the surface, when your direction becomes clearer, when your choices become more meaningful. In silence, you see what matters most. What felt urgent often turns out to be unimportant. What truly matters often wasn't urgent. In stillness, things separate what you thought you needed from what you actually need, what you thought you wanted from what you really want. And this clarity doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from letting go, from trusting that beneath all the noise is a deeper wisdom, waiting to guide you. The values that were buried start to rise again. The dreams you've ignored begin to speak. The voice of your real self, the one that's been hidden under expectations and doubts, starts to emerge. So don't be afraid of silence. Make time for it. Protect it. Let it become your strength, your clarity, your peace. This isn't about running from the world. It's about learning how to show up in the world with more intention, more wisdom, and more power. Choose when to engage and when to step back. Don't be ruled by noise. Be guided by purpose. Make silence your secret weapon. Create quiet moments in your day, your week, your life. Use them not to escape, but to prepare. In stillness, you'll find not emptiness, but fullness. The fullness of who you really are, ready to lead. you to the life you were meant to live. Time is the only true wealth we have. You can rebuild a business, you can earn back money, you can get new chances. But time, once it's spent, it's gone forever. This truth should sit at the center of every choice you make. Money comes and goes. Opportunities will return, people can be forgiven and relationships rebuilt. But the hours you spend today, they never come back. Every minute you use right now is gone forever. It becomes part of your life story. That's why how to use your time matters so deeply. If you understand this, it changes how you live. Suddenly, your days become more precious. You start treating your hours like gold dust, rare, valuable, and never wasted. Gold dust doesn't get thrown away. It doesn't get handed out without thought. Every bit is measured. Every use is intentional. That's exactly how your time should be treated. Each hour should be focused. Each task should serve your goals. Each commitment should reflect your values. But too many people spend time like it's cheap, saying yes to things that don't matter, waiting for the right time that never comes. The pain of wasted time isn't always felt right away. When you lose money, you see the loss. But when you waste time, the damage is invisible. Hours drift by in gossip, scrolling, distractions. You don't feel the loss immediately, but it adds up. And one day, you realize how much you've lost. Time. Theft is sneaky. It doesn't come in big chunks. It comes in tiny moments, a few minutes here, a few hours there, until one day, you're wondering why you feel so busy, but so empty, so active, yet unfulfilled. But if you want to win, you need to treat time like wealth. You need to invest it. Say no to what doesn't matter. Ask yourself, will this bring me peace, growth, joy, purpose? That's how the most successful people live, not with more time, but with wiser use of it. Mastering time means living with intention. Not how can I fill this hour, but how can I invest it? Imagine a store where every item costs an hour of your life. Would you still buy everything you do now? That TV show? That endless scroll on your phone? That social event you don't even care about? Every hour you spend is a trade, a piece of your life for that moment. Are you making good trades? This isn't about cutting joy. It's about knowing what really matters. Some moments are worth the time, rest, love, and learning. Others aren't. Your time is your life. Spend it where it counts. Build skills. Nurture relationships. Pursue your purpose. Rest when needed. Be intentional. Be present. Be deliberate. Because when time is gone, it's gone. You can't earn more of it. You can only use what you have wisely done. At the end of your life, you won't wish for more empty hours. You'll wish you had used your time better, more purposefully, more honestly, more fully. So live like every hour matters, because it does. Your mindset shapes everything. Life will get loud. Challenges will come. But you don't have to be overwhelmed. Master your mindset, and you gain calm. You gain clarity. You gain strength. It's not about being perfect. It's about being resilient. Progress, not perfection. Strength, not struggle. Steady effort, not constant hustle. So protect your mind. Train it. Strengthen it. Let it guide you. You've got this. If this message stirred something inside you, don't let it fade. Take control of your time. Protect your silence and act on your faith. The life you want won't wait, and the world won't hand it to you. Have to build it. So here's your challenge. Start today. Cut the distractions. Show up for yourself. Honor your time. Chase what matters. And if this video moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more powerful messages like this. Your future self is counting on you. Now go. Be intentional. Be bold. And build the life you were born for.